What up, my fellow NBA lovers? This is your guy, Marcellus Ease. Now, after the Lakers were eliminated in Game 6 against the Phoenix Suns, I had to remind myself of the 2020 NBA Finals and what took place and the impact of Anthony Davis's production on the Lakers. Last year, we seen in Game 1 and 2, Anthony Davis put up very similar numbers to LeBron while guarding Bam on the floor and Jimmy Butler. And in Game 4, he had that big three-point shot, which put the Lakers up 3-1. It's not until the injury that he had in Game 5 with the heel that we seen a shift that happened and LeBron was able to take over and get that MVP for the finals. But quiet as kept, a lot of analysts were very perplexed on who to give MVP, particularly after the first two games. Because remember, Game 1, LeBron James had 25 points, the usual 13 assists, couple rebounds. But Anthony Davis had 34 points. And similar numbers, I believe he just had about 5 to 6 less assists. Now, Anthony Davis's impact on the Lakers is huge. As we've seen in this Game 6 with the Phoenix Suns, LeBron James was not able to elevate onto a certain level in which we're used to seeing him do, particularly in elimination games. Devin Booker was able to put up 47 points. Meanwhile, LeBron only scored 29 after somewhat stat padding towards the end of the game. But Anthony Davis's impact, make no mistake about it, is huge. And it's about time of him entering his prime to take over the Lakers. Now, they're going to talk about this situation, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
So, Laus, I know this one was tough for you.
I'm not giving LeBron. I'm not really. It's the injuries. AD played 36 games, which is half the season. LeBron played basically a third of the season, missed 27 games. And you Skip, you give up, let a team shoot 10 or 13. And you know the guy, really, there's only one guy that can really beat you. It's Devin Booker. And for some reason, they're like, you know what, Book, go ahead and, get off. I mean, they shot 10 of 13 in the first quarter. They were doomed. I mean, 36 to...
Yeah, Devin Booker was definitely on fire, man. He definitely had that spark. And just like Kwame Brown always says, man.
Bitch, you can't touch mama's cooking.
And Devin Booker reminded us when a player is in his prime, what level he could elevate to, and particularly in elimination games. LeBron James was used to doing the same thing, but once again, in this game, we did not see LeBron take that elevation to the next level. And particularly when the superstars are performing at a high level, particularly in elimination games, it kind of trickles down to the rest of the team.
I got the world tasting my mama's cooking, and everybody eating up off her, unlike you.
Now, of course, Shannon loves LeBron James. He's going to bring up the injury excuses, but also keep in mind CP3 was not at his best as he was dealing with that shoulder issue.
14? Now, we've seen them have a 10-point quarter, a 14-point quarter, a 15-point quarter. You're not beating anybody. And at the end of the day, Skip, this is a 2-7 matchup. It probably should have only gone 5 games, 2-7, because that's how big a lopsided it's supposed to be. But it just goes to credit what people thought of LeBron and what he's capable of doing, that he would a lot of times was favored, even though he was in the 7th seed and he was playing a 2 seed. But Skip, it's just hard to place anything other than injuries. And when we saw the game, we talked about AD. I said, Skip, you had this injury. I've had this injury. You're not playing no NBA game with no groin injury.
You did say that.
And
you were absolutely, utterly, unequivocally right.
Skip, a lot when I'm talking about injuries with other players, a lot of time I've had those injuries. I've had groin and hamstring and quad and calf injuries, fractured eye sockets and broken collarbones, so I can speak. And I like to think I got a very high pain tolerance. He ain't playing with that.
It shows you how desperate the Lakers were. But also, I understand why they were desperate. It's not all on LeBron James. We also got to look at Dennis Schroeder. He's played horribly in this series. Game 4, he had 8 points, 3 assists, 3 of 13 from the field. Game 5, he had 0 points, 1 assist. I mean, Jesus Christ, his numbers are just horrible. He was 0 for 9 from the field. We got to look at Montrezl Harrell. The only reason he got minutes in this series is because of the injury of AD. The Lakers are kind of in a gray area situation with him because I'm not sure how they can utilize this guy at this point. And he does have an opt-in. I'm just curious to see if the Lakers, if he's just going to stay with this team or he's going to opt out and perhaps pursue more money elsewhere. And also Dennis Schroeder rejected the extension that the Lakers offered him this past February. So it'll be interesting to see also how they can how's it going to play out basically with him, because if they don't re-sign him, they're not going to have players under contract for a high enough salary to make trades for. So it's pretty much a double-edged sword right there. And also, just some of the Lakers offseason moves, just looking at it in totality. The Lakers used their mid-level exception this past offseason on Montrezl Harrell. Meanwhile, while the Suns used it on Jay Crowder. And as we've seen in this series, Jay Crowder was killing it from three.
First of all, you can't move. You can't move side to side. You saw how he was moving.
Plus, this isn't about pain tolerance. Once it's pulled, and you got no shot.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You can see the way he's walking on the court,
Yeah.
Skip. So for me, I just wish, and I think that really turned things around. Because I'm not saying they would have won this game had AD not played.
Yep.
But, you know, now all of a sudden AD plays, 2 minutes into the ball game, and now you got to bring someone else in. I don't know why Frank Vogel made that adjustment. Skip, Marc Gasol cannot play the high pick and roll. What did they do?
And also, AD being out changed all the guard matchups. We had Jay Crowder guarding LeBron James, and we had other players guarding Booker, etc. It changed all the matchups, so that created a lot of issues for the Lakers. But once again, also with the Lakers, they're going to have to decide what they're going to do with Andre Drummond. They promised him a future, existence on the team, but at the same time, they promised him a starting role. But as we've seen, they started Gasol in this series. And then they had Montrezl Harrell come off the bench as the backup center. So because of the lack of shooting and offensive, versatility of Drummond, sometimes he's a liability in certain series.
Constantly last night. High pick and roll. Guys getting wide open threes at the top of the key. That's not his strong suit. I get it. He can space the floor. But what he might give you offensively, he more than takes away defensively. So for me, Skip, look, Book and Crowder, they went crazy in the first quarter, blew the ball game open. Sure, I would have. And I thought someone texted me last night and said, well, how many shots you think LeBron needs to take? I say he needs to take at least 25, but he needs to shoot like 60, 65%. So I know he's going to make 16, that's 18, 19 of 26 shots.
And Aiden in the middle is causing a lot of issues for LeBron taking the ball to the rack. And he doesn't elevate like he used to. As we see when LeBron takes off, it just doesn't look the same. So that's always been an issue for LeBron, even in his prime. When you have a big man in the middle, LeBron taking it to the left or right has major issues finishing at the hoop.
For the Lakers to have a chance, and it wasn't even close to that, Skip. They made a value.
And a prime example of that is the Golden State series in 2016. Once Andrew Bogut got injured, that whole series shifted.
The effort tried to come back, cut it to 10. I thought if they could have hit one of those threes, maybe get it to 7, put a little bit more pressure, but give the Suns credit. What did they do? Come down 3, 2, 2. So what could have been a 7-point lead, all of a sudden back up to 17. But I can't put any blame on LeBron. LeBron didn't play well, but I'm not so sure had he played well, he would need to be 20.
I agree. I can't fully put the blame on LeBron, but also we also expected LeBron to elevate to a certain level, the same way we seen him perform against Boston in Game 6, in which the Miami Heat were facing elimination in 2011, and we've seen LeBron go to that next level. And that's just a reminder of what LeBron used to be. And we have to put things into proper perspective because Father Time comes for everybody. And once again, Anthony Davis, when healthy, he's going to have to take over the reins of this team because LeBron James can only elevate so much.
That his last year in Cleveland, where he did what he did against Boston, what he did against Indiana, what he did against some of those games of Toronto, Skip. I just don't know if he's able to put those type of games together over a period of time anymore.
You saw how Shannon just took a long time to just utter that out. He's basically saying LeBron's past his prime. Even Shannon's admitting that.
That might be a thing of the past, and so that's why I'm saying I believe he needs more help.
So
yes, I'm saying
when we boil this down to the percent of blame, Shannon Sharp is assigning
40.
to LeBron James. Oh,
40.
you went to 40. I thought you were going to go 0.
No, 40%. I give him 40%.
Okay, all right. Well, that's better than you,
No,
you said
he got,
none.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 40%. I give him 40.
Yeah, Shannon knows he's going to have to divvy out some blame to LeBron James. But like Shannon went on that little soliloquy, man, it was very hard for him to say. You saw him take a long pause right there. But LeBron James is past his prime. It's pretty obvious, and now everyone's seeing it. And last year was kind of masked a little bit, especially with the bubble and the pandemic situation, and especially with Anthony Davis. You know, Anthony Davis has come on this team. He's defending the best players on the other teams, and he's actually putting up very similar numbers to LeBron James. Anthony Davis for the Lakers is definitely the most impactful player.
Okay. I need context here.
Okay.
I need to remind everybody that the Lakers were a 3-point favorite at home. I need to remind everybody that on yesterday's show, you picked the Lakers to win that game.
Yes.
So your context was you expected them to win the game, and that was before we had any thought that Anthony Davis would even try to step on the floor.
I had removed him from the equation. I didn't factor that in.
All right, so we have to keep our bar set way up here because you continue to call LeBron, just for the record, the best player on the planet, correct?
Yep. And a lot of these analysts, man, him, Nick Wright, Brian Windhorst, they actually, you know, they can't lie to the fan base anymore because people understand what they're seeing. And last night was proof of it. LeBron James just cannot elevate to that level anymore, as we've seen Devin Booker in this game elevate to that level because Devin Booker is entering his prime. Where in big games like this, LeBron used to drop 47, 40 plus, 50, almost 50, triple-double stats. And, you know, he's flying through the gym, and he just doesn't look like that anymore. Once again, Anthony Davis, as far as the impact on the Lakers, might be bigger because he's guarding the best defenders. Well, he's defending the best players on the other team on the floor. But LeBron James definitely kind of controls the pace of the game, the rhythm. He's sort of like the co-pilot, but he's giving the reins to the younger pilot eventually.
And he is the absolute, no doubt, no debate GOAT, in your opinion, correct? Okay, so we got all that as our context for the fact that he deserves 75% of the blame for what didn't happen last night at Staples Center.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Anthony Davis. I give him high marks as a guy who, as I call him, AD, always dinged. There's always something with him. I have wondered about his pain threshold, but to his credit, to his team's credit and how much he cared about his team, you have to give him high marks for saying, I'm just going to go out there. If I have to just walk around on the court, which is basically what he was going to have to do. They said even at shoot around, Schroeder said he couldn't even like walk.
Right.
Okay. And so I say, thank you for trying. You win some new respect from me for at least trying to go out there and do something. And he didn't even take a shot in his, was it 5.5 minutes?
5.5 minutes.
Okay. And he got a rebound, I think, and had 1 assist. So, okay, bully for you. He tried to play a little bit of defense, but that's where it really got him. Because when he tried to go with Book down the lane, he can't. He just you're asking it, and it's going to say no, sorry, no, we're done.
And it was definitely done. And Devin Booker smelled the blood in the water.
Mama's cooking.
Basketball players have to do, Skip. They have to side lateral. Side to side. How you gonna do that?
It's about half the battle is side lateral. Okay. So when I heard our man Chris Haynes say at the beginning of the game last night, obviously he was on TNT, that Lakers doctors had cleared him, saying he couldn't hurt it any worse. I sat back and thought, you can't hurt it any worse?
Can.
Are you
tear it off the
kidding
bone.
me? What are you talking about? You can hurt it 10 times
You
more.
absolutely can.
You can tear it so badly, it could be a 6-month
They have
rehab.
to go reattach it.
Well, of course, they already knew that the Lakers desperately needed him or they were facing elimination. Once again, Rob Pelinka has a lot of questions he has to get answered in the offseason because that Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, a lot of guys he got for this team, even Andre Drummond, they promised him a future on the Lakers, and a lot of these pieces don't really fit.
Absolutely,
right?
you can. Yes.
Okay, so I didn't get that. And I don't really understand how he was cleared. I think he just cleared himself. I think he just said, look, I can do this. And finally, Vogue said, or somebody, maybe it went all the way up to Jeannie Buss, said, just let him go. Let him try.
Right.
Okay, so now we get back to the Willis Reed syndrome, and I know a lot of our younger viewers don't know this, but in 1970 in the NBA Finals, this is the all-time epic classic, Game 7, Willis Reed had torn a thigh muscle.
Yeah, he tore his quad.
Yeah, it's the quad. It's like the Tony Parker injury.
Yes.
We've seen Charles Barkley.
And Kawhi.
and Kawhi. You know, he had a thigh bruise, actually. But the point was he did that in Game 5.
Right.
He missed Game 6. So now it's Game 7 at Madison Square Garden against Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Correct.
And he stuns the Lakers by hobbling onto the floor for the tip-off. He was the regular season MVP and the All-Star Game MVP, just to keep this in context. Right. And he went ahead and played it. I'd forgotten. The lore had it in my mind that he only lasted like 2 minutes and made one shot. No, he played 27 minutes. So it wasn't like what AD was fighting against last night. Actually, Willis Reed played reasonably well. He made his first 2 little jump shots. Yep. He scored 4 points and had 3 rebounds in 27. He played into the second half. Right. And he actually defended Wilt Chamberlain at a very high level because by Wilt standards, he had a bad game. He only scored 21 points on 10 of 16 shots. And you know how Wilt was. Right. He'd get you 50 easy. So that turned the tide, and then Walt Clyde Frazier, I know a lot of the Knicks.
He went bonkers.
He went crazy. He had 36 and 19 assists, and it was one of the all-time great Game 7s ever played. Yep. So, again, Willis got to go along for that ride, but that was day and night compared to what happened to AD last night. You can argue he was just trying to inspire his team, but did it work?
No.
No, it seemed to inspire Devin Booker, right?
Skip, for me, and you say when you picked him, I was like, Skip.
And that's LeBron's job right then and there. LeBron apparently is the GOAT. He's the leader of this team. His play is not really that inspiring. Him just giving the ball out, his body language, shows a lot about LeBron.
And what did I tell you? And I prefaced it. I said, Skip, they can't play any worse than they did in Game 5, can they? And when they started the game, what did they do? They played worse in Game 6 than they did in Game 5, just when I thought they couldn't.
Okay, so here's what got me about LeBron. Not until the third quarter last night did I see him go into all-out attack mode. He was back into sit-back mode at tip-off, and I don't understand it. And Shannon, I got to tell you, to me, your man LeBron last night looked like he was aging right before your very eyes. He looked like he was worn out right before your very eyes. In the second half, when he went into attack mode, he seemed to wear out fairly quickly, and he just looked flat out, big sweat, gassed by the fourth quarter when they needed him to help them make one last run, because they had a shot in the mid-fourth quarter. They actually cut it to 10 at one point and had a shot, okay?
Right, Skip, and it's hard, Skip, and people say, well, he should just do it. You can't. You cannot physically. Even the greats, as effortless as...
That father time don't care about anybody, man. At the end of the day, LeBron James, at his age, and how long he's been in the league, 18 years, he's playing 35 minutes plus, dribbling the ball up the court, putting the ball through his legs with a bunch of young point guards. I mean, most of the time he blows past these guys through screens only. He's not really blowing past them. He's kind of using that big body he has to push guys off. I've never seen LeBron James push so many guys off. That's how slow he's gotten. But it is what it is. He can't elevate to that next level, because we've seen LeBron James in elimination games on attack mode from the jump. And it's very apparent after last night's game that he can't do that anymore.
Could glide through the air and clear everybody. He stopped driving as much. Kobe stopped driving as much because you just can't physically do it as we start to age. You know, age happens to us all.
Okay, well, it was happening to him last night because I couldn't see LeBron James with 3 exclamation points. I couldn't see the king.
I could see him step on his skip, but there are some plays right around the basket that LeBron, those are and one.
Couldn't finish. I agree. And in the first quarter, they couldn't finish Phoenix because Phoenix finished them. Right from jump. Yeah. Devin Booker said, no, I got this. He makes 6 out of 6 threes in the first quarter and scores 22 points.
You said he couldn't shoot threes.
Well, he can't. He's a 30.
I can't tell.
Wait a second. He's a 30.
Damn, that boy was on fire. He was 8 of 10. Jesus.
Mama's cooking.
4% three-point shooter this year, this regular season, 35 for his career. He's way below average. He's worse for his career than LeBron James is, and LeBron's below average as a three-point shooter. But the point is, he came out, and I've called him again and again on this show, he's a star, not a superstar. That looked like a superstar coming out party because he was just saying, no, in your house, I got this.
Well, Skip, you know what they used to say is that he's a
Yeah, that looked like a passing of the torch that happened last night. The same way when LeBron James had that Game 5 against the Detroit Pistons, that team would stay going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and LeBron James got past them, and it looked like the passing of the torch. It's just sometimes you see the young guns coming. The same way Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook eliminated the Spurs in 2012 to get to the finals. You see the passing of the guard coming.
Guy that can get you buckets on a bad team.
Yep.
Now he's getting you buckets on a good team. So the perception of him will change now because he can always put the ball. Skip, you don't score 70 points in the NBA game without being good at it.
Yeah.
So now that he's going to start to win with Chris Paul, now you're just like, okay, yeah, he's going to start to get into that superstar threshold.
I'm surprised they're not talking about the CP3 injury as much because it would kind of negate some of the injury issues that the Lakers had, even though Anthony Davis's impact is very big, because subconsciously they're letting you know Anthony Davis's impact is huge. But once again, LeBron and Anthony Davis, they really need each other because LeBron James can't elevate to a certain level anymore due to age. Anthony Davis doesn't really have the focus, the leadership skills, the alpha mentality to take over for this team and make sure that they win and get to the promised land.
Okay. So remember, the Lakers were the #1 team in defensive efficiency in the league.
I couldn't
this year.
tell.
Okay. Well, I couldn't tell in the first quarter because I thought LeBron was the driving force of a very good defense, a smart defense, a coordinated defense, a unified defense, and they got absolutely torched. They weren't running a second defender at him until it was too late. They tried to single him up, and they dared him to shoot threes in the first quarter because that's what the numbers tell you should do.
Skip, blitz him. Get the ball out of his head. Okay, Jay Crowder, if you can make 10 of those, so be it.
Yep.
Mikal Bridges, if you can make 5, 6 threes, so be it. I can live with that. Skip, I know what Book can do. I've seen him go get 70. I've seen him get 50. So I know he can put the ball in the basket. Make the others do it.
Okay, so from jump, I did not see desperate fire in LeBron's eyes. I did not see I refuse to lose in my building in a closeout game. He wasn't refusing to lose because they just took the game over. Phoenix did from the tip off,
right?
And they won the first quarter 36-14. And by all accounts, the big picture of it was over after a quarter.
Thank you.
I mean.
Yeah, they definitely smelled the blood in the water. And LeBron has to realize a lot of the young guns throughout the rest of the league was looking at this game. And them seeing Devin Booker, as young as them, killing LeBron like that, a lot of the young guns will be coming for his head next season. Best believe that, because they smell the blood in the water and that this guy is not in his prime no more. And quiet as kept, LeBron James has had a lot of mental and I would say LeBron James has something mentally over the young guys. It's almost like the young guys mentally had to climb a hurdle in order to beat LeBron.
Yes.
Remember, AD goes out, and then it seemed like the whole team just lost heart from there because it only seemed to start to get worse.
Yeah. The Lakers scored 25 or less points in 12 of the 24 quarters. Let that sink in for a second. They scored 20 points or less in 5 quarters.
I mean, to get 14 in the first quarter when you have LeBron James on your team, it's just unacceptable.
If you remember 2 nights ago, they scored 10. You scored 10 points in 12 minutes.
The Los Angeles Lakers of Magic Johnson lore, of Showtime.
Yes.
They're scoring 14 and 12 and 10 a quarter?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's just wrong.
And Devin Booker got...
Well, they were never really a scoring team. They were more of a defensive team led by Anthony Davis. Defense was pretty much the Lakers' identity, and we've seen it play out last year. Anthony Davis's role is very important for this team. Production-wise, he has to have the most production, followed by the guidance and leadership of LeBron James. He has to sort of guide everything through, and then the rest of the players contribute here and there. KCP, other guys like Wes Matthews. But for the most part, Rob Pelinka has a lot of decisions to make this offseason because a lot of the acquisitions he got in the past offseason is not working out.
Devin Booker got 22 in the first by himself.
Well, he outscored him by 7 by himself.
Yes.
Not 8. He outscored him by 8.
And then you throw in Crowder's 3 threes to get him kick-started. It's over.
Okay.
It's kind of like what the Lakers did to Miami in Game 6.
I got it.
Remember, they jumped on him and it was over.
So here's where LeBron really lost me, was in the second quarter. It's getting completely out of control. It's 45-18. And if we could see what he did at 45-18 with the turnover pass, this just looked like he didn't care anymore at this point.
And also, before Skip gets into this, I also want to say this. LeBron James with the turnovers, ever since, his age started showing, he's getting a lot of turnovers. It's reckless. He can cut down on that. That has a little bit more to do with discipline. LeBron James can definitely cut down on that. He definitely has control over that. The father time aspect he has no control over, but the turnovers definitely he does. And the fact that the NBA has become a three-point shooting league, it's bought LeBron some time to remain in his prime because he doesn't have to attack the hoop as much, get all these bumps and bruises. He could just take up some of these shots. So going forward in the future, the NBA prime years of certain players, don't be surprised if it climbs up to age 33, 34, 35, because a lot of these young players come into the league right now, they don't have to attack the hoop as much. They're settling for a lot of threes. They're making these jump shots. They've been practicing this for a while now. So definitely the prime years are going to have to be reevaluated.
I don't see LeBron do this. What is that? That looks like some preseason turnover where he just didn't care. And then that's the second turn. He came right back down 4 minutes later and just threw it right into Jay Crowder's knees. And you're better than these two turnovers. And again, you're down 45-18 and 55-31. But you know and I know there was still a ton of time left.
Yeah.
Like these
But LeBron has showed throughout his career, if you get him down early, particularly in the finals or crucial situations, you can get to him mentally.
Make it a 10-point ball game, so clearly.
Okay, so how can you be? It looked like you were once again disengaged, like you were almost disinterested, like you were disassociating from the mess on the floor.
Well, this
AKA the 2011 NBA Finals, the 2014 NBA Finals, the 2017 NBA Finals, and the 2018 NBA Finals. When you get to LeBron mentally, he gets disengaged and he starts stat padding.
where I'm going to push back. For the simple fact, Skip, is that they did get it down to 10. If he didn't care or if they didn't care, that's all the makings of a 40-point blowout loss.
Okay, so here we go, third quarter. And I'm going to show you real quick 4 straight plays in which there's LeBron James. I've always called him the greatest attacker of the basket I've ever seen. Nobody can drive it better than LeBron James. Does he have his lift right now? Well, either through age or attrition or ankle, he doesn't quite have his lift. So here are this is third.
Yeah, the combination of age and his ankle, he definitely does not have the lift. All season long, we've seen LeBron just, when he takes it to the hoop, it looks very clunky.
Quarter LeBron. Okay, well, that'll work, right? Jay Crowder can't keep him from the rim. I'm sorry, he just can't. So Book's got him. And that's LeBron James. That's who I thought I would see in the first quarter. That'll work, right? Okay, he can still rise up and dunk. Okay, and here's the fourth play. I mean, that's how many times have we seen that in his past where you just said he's unstoppable. You can't stop that. And it ignited a slow but sure rally that never got to the furious stage, but they were just chipping and chipping away, right?
Right.
And then in the fourth quarter, they did cut it to 10.
Yes.
Okay, well, when they got it to 10, I know what you were doing. You were thinking, I got this.
Yeah.
And I know Staples only has 6,000 or 7,000 people, but it sounded like 17,000 or 20,000 people, right? And then here was the irony of the fourth quarter to me. This is 3:23 left, and Chris Paul had just finally missed a shot, and you get it back, and it comes down to Wes Matthews taking a 3 that could have cut it to 8. Cut it to 8. Well, this is it right here. Watch this. Okay, this is it. That's the shot of the game, and he missed it pretty badly. If that goes in, I think the roof falls on the Phoenix Suns, because remember, LeBron had played almost 40 more playoff games than the whole Phoenix roster combined. And I think at that point, it wouldn't have made him old. I think it would have made him too experienced for the Phoenix Suns. I'm watching with Ernestine. I said, hey, you better buckle up now because the Lakers got a shot. And when he had that shot, I thought, Wes Matthews, but here's the irony of that. Wes Matthews played a career-low 19.5 minutes a game. He shot a career-worst 35% from the floor and a career-worst 34% from 3. And he averaged 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist for the Los Angeles Lakers. And somehow it comes down to Wesley Matthews has the shot of shots, right?
Yep.
Well, he wasn't that guy for you all year. So you had the wrong guy taking the right shot at the right time.
But you see what they did.
And this is one of the major issues I have with LeBron James playing at that point guard position. I thought they got Dennis Schroeder to play point guard. Isn't that what Rob Pelinka said? We got a ball handler in Dennis Schroeder, so LeBron wouldn't have to do it as much. But yet LeBron is still handling the rock and giving off the ball to other guys to take very big time shots to save the season. Something doesn't make sense. Once again, Rob Pelinka is going to have to tweak this roster, and they may have to take LeBron off that point guard role, at least for the time being.
They forced the ball into someone's hand, someone else's hand. Now, what were the Lakers doing? Okay, go ahead, Book. Get what you want. Jay Crowder. Okay, I understand the first three games, Jay Crowder was not shooting the three well, but he's very streaky. He sees a few go in early, well, you're going to have to deal with him.
Well, he made his first one, and then he made.
Once again, that's that Devin Booker energy. Man, it trickled down to the rest of the team. Wasn't he 8 of 10 from 3? Everybody was eating, man, just watching him.
I got the world tasting my mama's cooking. And everybody eating up off of it, unlike you.
6 out of 9.
Right. He made like his first 3, Skip.
And I got to give him props because he's taken a lot of abuse through this whole series, some of it from LeBron. If I could remind everybody, this was your pinnacle of the series was game 3 with 7 minutes left.
Right.
Remember what LeBron did to him? He was just clowning him.
Oh, yeah.
Just take, this is the end of game 3. It's a blowout. LeBron's got this. LeBron got this. Watch Big Penguin. Watch Drummond on the sideline on the bench. LeBron's leaning. He's going to lean. He's going to lean. Drummond's leaning with him.
I feel you. I feel you on the right.
I feel you. And then I'll
God.
wheel on you. And there's vintage up and under LeBron James. And the bench is going crazy. That was virtually the end of the Lakers because that put you up 2-1.
Yep.
And you were about to lose 3 straight games.
Yep.
Now, low-key, Jay Crowder's beef with LeBron James stems from Cleveland. And then I remember when they traded Jay Crowder and they traded D. Wade. And Jay Crowder actually hit a 3-point game-winning shot. I believe he played for the Utah Jazz the very next night. And when he got interviewed, he said it actually feels good to play in an actual system. That was a shot at LeBron James. And we've seen Kyrie Irving when he went to Boston. He said the same thing. But I believe he was taking shots at Tyronn Lue. It's possible.
Okay, so I admired Jay Crowder last night. I've been critical of him occasionally because sometimes he just gets abused by LeBron and just can't even deal with him. Last night, he rose and shone in this game. He made his threes, and then, do you remember the play? It's 2:43 left. This was sort of the epitome of Jay Crowder actually outplaying the king in his house. This is the last play. Crowder blocked that. From behind, he just goes up and blocks it. Watch this. Crowder just goes up, and they gave him a clean block. And it was like the ultimate humiliation for LeBron because that pretty much just ended the night right there, right?
Basically.
Damn. Look at Shannon, basically. Shannon already knows, man. LeBron is past his prime. He's going to definitely need AD. This game showed that the Lakers need AD. They have LeBron, great option to have, but they're going to need AD. Before, having AD was nice, but now they realize they need him.
Basically. Skip, like I said, he missed a couple of those right around the rim, Skip. He had an opportunity, and the LeBron that we know, he finishes those. He missed a bunny last night, Skip. I mean, he left it short. And then he got it back, and he ended up Jay Crowder ended up tying him up for a jump ball. But, Skip, I know a lot of it at the end of the game, there's a lot of talking. I don't have a problem with Jay Crowder. I don't have a problem with Booker doing all the talking. To the victor goes the spoil.
Well, finally, the ref said, you guys are out of here. I don't think they tossed Booker, but they tossed Jay. And you know what? He happily sprinted to the locker room because he knew he had gotten his revenge.
Exactly. I don't have a problem with guys talking at the end of the game. Because y'all was chirping. We all been chirping the whole game.
Yep.
Now I get to chirp the loudest because I'm the last one doing all this chirping. So I don't have a problem with that, Skip. But when I look at it, just look at AD's season, half the season. And Skip, AD wasn't the AD he was his first year in L.A. AD averaged less than 22 points a game. So he didn't really look like the AD that averaged 26, that was 9, that averaged almost 2 blocks a game. He didn't look like that guy. LeBron goes down.
Okay.
For if I'm AD, I'm going to go, Skip, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at what I'm doing.
Now, the shortened season looks like it had a major effect on the Lakers. AD averaging 22 points a game. Yeah, something's up with that. I'm questioning the recovery time and the fact that the league kind of forced this compressed schedule with the All-Star game on top of it this season. Maybe 60 games should have been the threshold. maybe withholding from the All-Star weekend. But once again, the NBA has to satisfy their contracts with their TV partners. They're not trying to lose out on that revenue.
Why do I constantly have these lower extremity injuries? What am I doing? So, Skip, you know how they do these video games? They put you in this black outfit and they put all these dots on you? He might need to go look that biometrically. So when they see him, how he jumps, how he lands, how he moves, there's something going on for him. Skip, AD's what, 28? 29 maybe? He shouldn't have these kind of injuries. It's not like he's Shaq size or Joel Embiid. If he
Shannon, AD has had these injuries his whole career. There's been games when he first came in the league for the Pelicans, this guy would go into the locker room at halftime. But it's funny because by that point, he would already have 20 points, 15 rebounds, and then he would come back in the fourth quarter and finish the game with over 40 points, 20 rebounds. AD used to have some crazy games where you think, oh, he's out for the game, and he would just come back. He's always been like this.
was that heavy, I can say, okay, that's a lot of weight, Skip. That's 300 plus pounds up and down on a nightly basis.
But I'm going to remind you, in game 2, Anthony Davis, this is at Phoenix, he goes 34, 10, and 7 assists.
Yeah.
That's a monster game.
Yes.
And he turns it right around back home in game 3 with 34 and 11 rebounds.
Right.
And from the time he left, after is the first half of, what was that, game 4?
Game 4, yeah.
From that point on, your Lakers got outscored by 47 points because it became a mismatch.
Right.
Well, I've told you, my conclusion is that right now, at this stage and age for LeBron, Anthony Davis is a little more valuable than LeBron is. I mean, what are your eyes telling you? Like, you have to have this guy because when it's just LeBron or bust, then you just bust.
I think the thing is that, Skip, there are people that like peanut butter. There are some people that like jelly and a peanut butter sandwich or a jelly sandwich. But when you combine the two,
okay, I got that. But peanut butter is better for you because it's got a little protein in it. So AD is protein.
Which
right
one
now.
tastes better?
Well, obviously jelly does, but which is better for you?
Hey, I want something to taste good instead of, be good.
Okay.
And AD is definitely the protein of the Lakers. He's definitely that guy in a game situation like this, an elimination game. He could elevate and get you 47 or even 40 plus. But LeBron James is not at that state right now. But once again, Rob Pelinka and the Lakers have a lot of decisions to make in the offseason. That Dennis Schroeder situation, they're going to have to figure out if they're going to give him an extension for the amount that he wants, because once again, he rejected the extension that they offered back in February. And also Montrezl Harrell, is he going to opt back in to play for this team? And also Andre Drummond, how does he fit in with this Lakers squad? Because them promising him a starting role and a future role on the team is kind of conflicting, because in this series, they definitely started Pau Gasol and they had Montrezl Harrell come in the court as a backup. So it is what it is. LeBron James and AD, they're going to have to work on their health, because to get to the NBA Finals, of course, you need a little bit of luck, to stay healthy and everything to go right for the team. But also, we also got to consider the fact that the Lakers played in the finals, then they had a short break into a compressed season, and then quickly into another playoff series. So the shortened season may have hurt the Lakers more than we think. And best believe the young guns throughout the NBA, seeing Devin Booker drop 47 points on the Lakers on an elimination game, will be coming after LeBron, because they will smell that blood in the water, that this guy is not in his prime and he's not the same player that he used to be. So that mental hurdle that LeBron James has had over the younger players, particularly at the end of games, because I've seen younger players flake because they think that they can't beat this superior guy, that is going to start to come down a bit. So it is what it is. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Peace.